Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be discussing those rock songs that received some serious pushback and controversy.
That's the way that I wanted to stay, and I always wanted to be that way for my Lord.
Number 20, Island Girl, Elton John.
I see your teeth flash, Jamaican honey so sweet.
The music industry possesses a laundry list of songs where white lyrical protagonists have placed themselves as de facto narrators for fictional people of color within their songs.
Island girl, what you want with your white man world?
This may be why Island Girl by Elton John hasn't been performed by the rock legend since 1990. We can pinpoint historically why a song like Island Girl might have been a good idea for Elton back in the mid-70s, since the ska and reggae movements were bringing these genres of music to wider audiences.
She's a black ass cold, but she burns like a fire.
Yet, the influence of these rhythms and melodies to Elton John's songwriting was one thing. The salacious lyrical content about a Jamaican sex worker is another. This made Island Girl something of an obscure eyebrow raiser with Elton John's discography.
Island girl, like I want you in this island world.
Number 19, If You Wanna Be Happy, Jimmy Soul.
If you wanna be happy for the rest of your life, have to make a friendship with your wife. So for my personal point of view.
A bad idea is a bad idea, no matter how many times that idea gets laundered through the cover song Washing Machine. If You Wanna Be Happy by Jimmy Soul was just one of the multiple covers of a traditional Trinidadian calypso song by Roaring Lion.
You want to be happy and live a king's life, but never make a pretty woman your wife. If you want to be happy and live a king's life, but never make a pretty woman your wife.
All of these covers possess one thing in common, however, and that's the overall pitfalls of choosing to marry an ugly woman.
A pretty woman makes a husband look small, and very often causes his downfall. As soon as he marries her, then she starts.
Jimmy Soul's doo-wop rock version from 1963 got him in trouble with radio stations, some of which refused to play the tune.
I saw your wife the other day, yeah, she's ugly, but she sure can cook, baby.
This hasn't stopped other versions of If You Want to Be Happy from raising their heads on other sources, however, including on the soundtrack to the 1990 comedy Mermaids.
So for my personal point of view, get an ugly girl to marry you.
Number 18, Brown Sugar, The Rolling Stones. What do you do when one of your most popular songs, one that's endured for decades within your devoted fan base, becomes problematic over time? Some bands shy away from their sordid history, but the Rolling Stones are at a point where their public profile assists in escaping from the controversies associated with songs like Brown Sugar. Mick Jagger has admitted in the press that he feels differently about Brown Sugar now in the modern day. Telling Rolling Stone magazine's Jan Wenner back in 2009 that he'd never would write that song now. Still, its subject matter of sex and race got it pulled from some radio stations back in the day, and the conversations continue today with regards to its complicated legacy. Number 17, Killing in the Name, Rage Against the Machine.
Killing in the name of.
The usage of profanity has always been a surefire way for just about any band to get into some hot water. Yet, Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine remains one of the band's most popular and well-known songs, in spite of, or due to, an overabundance of Zach De La Rocha's F-bombs.
Rather sing that burn crosses. Killing in the name of.
Radio stations work differently across the world, however, with many European channels playing the unedited Killing in the Name without too much incident.
Now you do what they told ya. Now you do what they told ya. Now you do what they told ya.
The United States was largely a different matter, however, with many local and national affiliates refusing to play the song at all.
Wearing a badge and your truth in white. Come on.
Number 16. Bobby Brown Goes Down. Frank Zappa.
Hey there, people, I'm Bobby Brown. They say I'm the cutest boy in town.
The legacy of Frank Zappa as a provocateur has been well documented over the years, but 1979's Bobby Brown Goes Down proved that this mother of invention still had plenty of controversial gas in the tank.
God, I am the American dream. I do not think I'm too extreme.
The tune exemplified a lot of Zappa's penchant for weird storytelling and a satirical, often transgressive sense of humor. Fans and detractors alike of Zappa have taken turns either defending or admonishing Bobby Brown Goes Down since the song first dropped.
Am I a boy or a lady? I don't know which. I wonder.
The sexual politics at play could either come across as liberally freeing or darkly extreme, depending on the side of one's argument. The one constant only being how Bobby Brown Goes Down didn't receive the same radio play in the US as it did in Europe.
I am the American dream. With a spindle up my butt till it makes me scream.
Number 15. Relax. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Relax, don't do it. When you wanna go to it. Relax, don't do it.
All of us as kids probably had at least one movie, song, or television show that we gravitated towards simply for the fact that our parents told us no. But what if they said, relax?
When you wanna suck to it. Relax, don't do it. When you wanna go.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood certainly said relax, yet the BBC soundly declined their offer, preferring instead to briefly ban the song. There was no stopping Frankie Goes to Hollywood's question for the chart domination, however, and the news headlines only helped Relax take over the world.
Relax.
The song and resulting video clip became anthems for unrepentantly explicit behavior, while the tune's pulsing synth and big booming chorus said just about everybody bothered and hot. Number 14. Christine 16. Kiss.
She's got me busy. She's seen me through to the end.
We'd be here all day if we were to rattle off the historical examples of pop songs that retained a lurid sexual fantasy about a young woman. Christine 16 just happened to be one of them at the tail end of the 70s that was recorded by the hottest band in the world, Kiss.
Christine, 16. She drives me crazy.
Gene Simmons sings this ode to the titular teenager, and some radio stations, even during the permissive 70s, were not amused.
She's been around, but she's young and clean.
The song didn't receive airplay in every market, while others preferred to saddle Christine 16 with an after dark slot away from younger listeners. Number 13. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The Beatles.
Picture yourself in a boat on a river.
There are, well, a lot of Reddit threads out there with just as many conflicting opinions about the legacy of John Lennon. This member of the Fab Four was known for writing songs like Run for Your Life that played into Lennon's reputation for being violent against women.
I can spend my whole life trying just to make you toe the line. You better run for your life if you can, little girl.
Meanwhile, a less provocative but perhaps more popular lyrical misinterpretation has to do with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The song is actually not about tuning in and dropping out, but rather a reference to a drawing by John Lennon's son, Julian.
Lucy in the sky with
didn't stop radio stations and fans alike from discussing Lucy's psychedelic implications, however. A discussion that still rages to this day.
Bridge by a fountain where rocking horse people eat marshmallow pies.
Number 12. Jesus Christ Pose, Soundgarden. All it takes is one look at the CD single art for Soundgarden's Jesus Christ Pose to understand how some people were going to be upset. The skeleton on a cross look felt more in line with the metal band than Soundgarden's grungy Seattle sound, but the fires of controversy were truly lit once the accompanying video hit MTV. The clip was almost immediately banned after backlash from those who felt Jesus Christ Pose attacked Christianity. The song may have instead been directed at those with persecution complexes, but the legacy of Jesus Christ Pose is more closely tethered to the intense reactions fans had to it back in the day. Number 11. Lola, the Kinks. The spectrum of what offends the average listener is wide and often differs wildly to that of our corporate overlords. Lola was banned by the BBC back in the day, not for its lyrical content, but for its product placement of the Coca-Cola brand.
I met her in a club down in Old Soho, where you drink champagne and it tastes like Coca-Cola.
This isn't to say that Lola hasn't also gotten the Kinks into the public conversation over the years, however, since the song is still largely debated today.
I'm not the world's most physical guy, but when she squeezed me tight, she nearly broke my spine. Oh my Lola.
Some claim that the tune is a prescient tale of gender inclusivity, while others feel that its execution has aged extremely poorly.
Girls will be boys and boys will be girls. It's a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world. It's a Lola.
Number 10. Closer, 9 Inch Nails.
You let me desecrate you. You let me penetrate you.
Maybe the world wasn't ready back in 1994 for a music video experience celebrating dominance, submission, and deviancy. This hypothesis could go a little ways in explaining why Closer by 9 Inch Nails received so much media coverage back in the day. The song is actually more of an internal narrative rather than an outward projection of sexual desire. Never underestimate the power of a memorable chorus, however, because most criticisms of Closer focused solely on the song's visual aesthetic and profanity. The clip was initially relegated to late-night slots on MTV, but the power of Closer soon became strong enough that it helped Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails become household names for industrial rock. Number 9. Angel of Death, Slayer. The realms of fantasy were always a fertile playing ground for early heavy metal bands, but the thrash scene that rose to prominence during the 1980s had some other ideas about lyrical content. Politics and real-life historical events began to creep their way into thrash anthems like Angel of Death by Slayer. This latter tune from the group's landmark Rain and Blood LP was even more extreme, however, thanks to its subject matter of Nazi Germany. Angel of Death specifically references the horrific medical procedures and war crimes of Josef Mengele, whose work at the Auschwitz concentration camp would draft him into the most infamous annals of history. It was a grim choice of subject matter that raised the eyebrows of just about everyone.
Angel of Death!
Number 8. Illegal Alien, Genesis. It's honestly kind of baffling that the progressive rock pioneers in Genesis even recorded this one, never mind releasing it as a single. Illegal Alien possesses good intentions, at least with regards to its lyrical content. After all, the song is actually written about the real-life struggles many face when attempting to source out visas and immigration paperwork for countries like the United States. The controversy then unfolds with Phil Collins' decision to place an affectation on his voice that almost sounds parodic. Additionally, the music video for Illegal Alien indulges in stereotypical imagery that honestly hurts the message at play. It may not have been intentional, but this otherwise innocuous song is aged like milk in the modern day. Number 7. Get Your Gun, Marilyn Manson. We could honestly populate this entire list with all of the various Marilyn Manson moments that got the singer-songwriter in hot water over the years. We prefer, however, to focus on the world that, at the time anyway, was still awaiting Manson's cultural impact. It's difficult for those that weren't there to appreciate just how much songs like Get Your Gun freaked out parents during the early 90s. The song was also blamed for influencing the 1999 massacre at Columbine High School in Colorado. This was despite Get Your Gun actually being about the murder of an abortion provider, David Gunn, back in 1993. Number 6. He Hit Me, and It Felt Like a Kiss, The Crystals.
He hit me, but it didn't hurt me.
We often fall back on the phrase, "it was a different time," when attempting to defend cultural divides. Make no mistake, however, folks were PO'd and offended about He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss by the Crystals even back in '62.
He hit me, and it felt like a kiss.
Everyone involved with the song has an opinion about why it does or doesn't work. From the shame of the songwriter Carole King to the spacious and malevolent production job of Phil Spector. This latter point is important because the atmosphere of He Hit Me feels dark and in line with the song's subject matters of gaslighting, abuse, and even Stockholm Syndrome. As a pop song, it remains one of the music industry's darkest curiosities.
And when he kissed me, he made me feel.
Number 5. Sex Type Thing, Stone Temple Pilots. Composing a song from the perspective of a dark or deviant character can sometimes come back to bite the performer in the butt. Scott Weiland found this out firsthand when Backlash to Sex Type Thing by Stone Temple Pilots began making the rounds back in 1993. It's perhaps easier to understand today how this song is clearly written outside of Weiland's personal views on sex, dating, and assault. Yet that didn't stop many journalists and fans from taking umbrage against a song that they felt glorified and glamorized indecent assaults. Weiland even told Rolling Stone during a 1993 interview that he never thought that people would connect him to the protagonist of Sex Type Thing. Number 4. Money for Nothing, Uncensored. Dire Straits. You never hear this version of Dire Straits' Money for Nothing on the radio, nor is it performed live. The album version of this smash hit is a different story, however, containing an extra verse that got Dire Straits in some seriously hot water. This is one that's familiar to Stone Temple Pilots and Sex Type Thing in that Mark Knopfler is singing Money for Nothing from an outside perspective. Specifically, it doesn't really feel out of character for the working-class protagonist of Money for Nothing to utilize the slurs he does during this verse.
We got some movies, refrigerators. We got some movies, color TV.
Knopfler semi-defended his decision in a 1985 Rolling Stone interview, but continued to sing the verse on tour, substituting the word Queenie for one that we can't repeat. Number 3, One in a Million, Guns N' Roses.
Yes, I needed some time to get away.
These legends courted controversy basically from Jump Street, not only with the band cover art for their debut album, Appetite for Destruction, but again for LP number 2. One in a Million was taken from the group's Lies album, a track that earned Axl Rose and company a whole lot of grief, thanks to the content of its lyrics. One in a Million was accused of basically every ism and phobia in the book, from the racial and social variety to Rose's inflammatory words against the LGBTQIA+ community.
They make no sense to me. They come to our country and think they'll do as they please.
The end results aren't any prettier in hindsight either, and the tune rightfully earned Guns N' Roses some heavy criticism. Even today, One in a Million is still seen as one of the band's most confusing creative decisions.
Don't point your finger at me. I'm a small town white boy, just trying to make ends meet.
Number 2, God Save the Queen, Sex Pistols.
God save the Queen, the fascist regime.
Don't mess with the monarchy, or at least don't release a scathing and satirical single titled God Save the Queen unless you're prepared to deal with the fallout. The Sex Pistols and their manager Malcolm McLaren seemed pleased when they released this two-fingered salute to their home nation. This was a knowing riff on the United Kingdom's national anthem, a defining anthem of the 70s punk era that didn't really care who it offended.
God save the Queen. We mean it, man.
God Save the Queen was banned from radio, and many British retail shops wouldn't carry physical copies of the single, despite its popularity. Basically, God Save the Queen pioneered that punk spirit of pissing people off, and did so in absolutely fabulous style. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Cop Killer, Body Count.
Headlight turned on. I'm about to bust some shots on. I'm about to dust some cops on.
We're seriously impressed that one of hip-hop's elder statesmen, Ice-T, even considered branching off into heavy metal when he formed Body Count back in 1990. This lyrical provocateur continued to stir the societal pot with the band's debut album containing the infamous track titled Cop Killer.
I know your mama's screaming. But then now we get even.
Just about everyone had an opinion on Cop Killer back in the early 90s, from U.S. President George H.W. Bush to conservative-leaning actor Charlton Heston. The latter famously pontificated in anger about the song's anti-cop content, and it was Heston's words, along with pressure from various police, that got Body Count pulled from store shelves. A newly censored version arrived in its place, now with a replacement song that was knowingly titled Freedom of Speech.
Freedom of speech, yeah! Just watch what you say. Freedom of speech, yeah, boy, just watch what you say.
Are there any sacred cows that should remain untouched by the music industry? Or are we, as a culture, too quick to be offended? Let us know in the comments.
Who cares? Who cares about you?